Good evening. Good evening. Hello there. What's up? Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. Mark B, what's up? What's up? We're ready to go. Rusty, as always, Jersey Red, thank you so much. Good to see you, my friend. Scott Blanche, what's up? Happy Friday. Back at you. HH, of course. Happy Guitar Fridays. Steve in New Hampshire, good evening. Back at you. Welcome, everybody. Heading into this Halloween weekend. Jeff Zane, what's up? MA from Tacoma, what's going on? Welcome, welcome, everybody. Awesome. Jeff Steen, Terry Clark, excellent, excellent from Florida. Glenn B, good day, what's up? Gerald from Ottawa, good to see you. Jake 99, what's up? Welcome, welcome. Donald Lee, howdy, back at you, welcome. Jim Gregory, what's up? Jim in Florida, I think. Good to see you. All right, tonight we're on the acoustic, although easily transferable onto the electric. A lot of these ideas. It's called the acoustic workout. So if you got your acoustic guitar, go for it. If not, electric is just fine. I'm going to go over some strums, single note stuff. Erica, what's going on? Welcome. Zane, what's happening? Happy Friday, everybody. For those just joining for the first time, expand the description below the video, and there's a link to the tabs. We're going to go through some musical examples tonight. And, hopefully just spur on some inspiration for you to have some things to explore, to work on over the next week, if not springboard into getting excited about all sorts of other things related, right? Hello, I'm not going to be able to say your name. Let's see, Abdelatif. I hope I got that. Welcome. Excellent. Steve, what's going on? Rui, what's up? Tien from Vietnam, as always. Welcome. Great to see you. So grab the tabs, expand the description below the video. Theodore, what's up? And thought it'd be fun, since it's the end of October, throw out a few spooky jams in this one. Scott coming in hot from Edmonton, my hometown, my birthplace. Always good to see you, Scott. Excellent. Thank you. So in the tabs, exercise 1, scary warm-up. And what's scariest about this one actually is that it's in the time signature of 5/4, which is kind of weird, right? We just got to add another beat into the bar. We're playing straight eighth notes though, so you can't really go wrong with this. Excellent, Scott. Sounds great. So you just grab a power chord shape up on the top 2 frets, 7th fret of the B, 9th fret of the high string. And I recommend downstrokes for this, all of this. Linda, what's going on? Yes, indeed. Great balls of fire. Jerry Lee Lewis passed away today. I should have had something for him, but, being a piano player, maybe not apropos as much, but definitely a legend. Yes, definitely a legend lost. That is the theme here, folks. So you string those together. Okay, so notice there's a few things to check out about this. Now, first of all, you're alternating between 2 strings, and you want those notes to be clean. You're not seeing any markings here like we are in the second example that tell you to let the notes ring out, right? In the case of, say, you're holding down a chord and you arpeggiate some stuff, usually you want those notes to ring out all together and blend together. This is a single note riff off of 2 strings, so you don't want them to overlap. You don't want the notes to ring out. Okay, although that sounds kind of cool, it's not really what we're going for here. So we got to find a way to cut off each note as we go from one string to the next. Okay. So you notice the first thing what I do is I actually just cut off the note by releasing the pressure on the fret, right? So, and you can get into a flow doing this. I find that it's a little bit easier to do this if you're just going back and forth between two strings, okay? It feels completely natural to just kind of lift off of one and roll on to the next, right? Elias, what's up? Happy Friday. Welcome. Okay, so just start with that back and forth, right? And the idea is that you want each note to stop right when you're picking the next note. And then the tricky part, of course, up top, you're going to go 9th fret of the high, 7th fret of the B, 10th fret of the high, 7th fret of the B. That's that extra beat, right? Terry's asking why I didn't put the downstroke notation. Well, if you wanted to, you could experiment and figure out something that possibly is a little bit more natural for you, right? Let's see. Let's see. I think I'm actually working on alternate picking. And what makes that super challenging is that you've got one note up top and then two notes down on the B string, then another note up top and two notes down on the B string. So it flips over on itself, which actually makes it really challenging, right? But it could be a great exercise, to try and do that. Okay. It's kind of fun to play around with. So I didn't put the markings in for that reason on this one. Although any of the markings that I put in are mere suggestions most of the time. Okay. By no means is that written in stone that you must strum or pick in this direction. Certainly when we get into the strumming of the chords, I highly recommend you stick with the upstrokes and downstrokes as I have them marked, because that will keep you in time a lot easier. Okay. But in this case, I left it off because it's just kind of open, whatever you feel like is the best way to do this. But what's cool about this theme is that you play through it 4 times and then it moves down 1 fret. So it just like throws that little monkey wrench in, right? And even in the theme, it actually keeps going down a little bit, okay? Same pattern down a step leads to the scary scene change, exactly. So there you go. Rad Flying V, what's up? Welcome, welcome. In the end, though, it's just, just a time of the year appropriate little warm up there. Just get some notes flowing on the guitar. Just get your picking going, right? Exercise 1B, okay? Playing off of just 1 chord shape. It's a really nice chord. This is the A minor add 9. So I've got the open A string, and then I'm just holding down 7th fret of the D, 5th fret of the G, and then the open top 2 strings are ringing out. Open. Now, let me play through this, and then I'll get into a few of the suggested things to do for this. And I do have some markings on this, but I'm not sure that even I adhere to these 100%. I think I do, but, sometimes when you're doing this, you kind of just go on autopilot, right? So. Fatih, what's up? Good to see you. So what makes this scary is that we've got the A chord, which sounds really cool, but then we're going to add an E flat to that A chord, which of course is the flat 5, right? The devil's interval, right? So that's what gives it the scariness. Okay, so what I recommend to be able to play this is fret the chord with your pinky on that A note, 7th fret of the D, and your index finger on the 5th fret of the G. Okay. That way, when you go to get the 7th fret of the A, okay, you can get it with the ring finger. I feel like that's not a hard thing to do. And then you've got the middle finger for the E flat, because we're going to grab that 7th fret of the A string right at the end of the first bar, right? We're going to go up. And then you're going to come onto the A string, 7th fret, and then start the next bar at the 6th fret of the A string, and then arpeggiate up and down. Okay. Putting those together. All right, so I thought that was another good one, right? Just get into some arpeggiations, warm up a little bit, and get that scary sound happening. That flat 5 interval is always going to give that sort of heavy, spooky sound, right? Now, Terry's saying this sounds like a starter Megadeth progression, which is funny that you say that, because this is actually an early Metallica riff that was actually written by the guy who started Megadeth, Dave Mustaine. So this sort of predates, the song predates, it ended up on their second record, but it was obviously written in the time that Dave Mustaine was in Metallica early on before he formed Megadeth. Whoops, I didn't mean to show that, by the way. That's nasty little scar there. So there you go, a little bit of trivia, right? This is a Metallica riff that Dave Mustaine actually wrote. So there you go. It is kind of in a way, it 100% is a starter Megadeth progression, right? Okay. I like it. All right, so we got the Halloween stuff out of the way at the beginning. We might have a little bit at the end. We'll see, maybe in name only. Let's get into some strumming, okay? Exercise 2. We're going to play, the first part of this. And I mistakenly have them both written as 2B. So obviously the first one should be 2A. I don't think that really warrants me uploading a new one. We'll see if I make any other glaring mistakes in the tabs, right? But luckily nothing's in the tabs here. It's just the name of this particular one. Exercise 2B and exercise 2B. So yeah, one should be 2A, obviously. The same chord progression, okay? But in the first exercise, this is exercise 2. First exercise, we're gonna stick to 8th notes. And in the second one, we'll stick to 16th notes. So we'll expand the amount of strums that we're doing, okay? So let's see. Ruiz says Mustaine is the top tier riff lord. Yes, 100% agree. Love it. Dave Staub, Cleveland made it. All right, in the house. Alonzo in the house as well. Excellent. Thank you for joining. Be sure to get the tabs, expand the description below the video. Let's look at the chords here for the first one. Okay, so A sus2. All right, so we've got an open A chord without anything fretted on the B string. Basically what it is. So an A sus2. Instead of the major third, you've got the second note in relation to A, which is a second interval apart, which would be the B. Nice floaty chord, right? Second fret of the D and G strings, everything else open from the A string all the way up. Next, I'm going to go to C add 9. Great chord, 3rd fret of the A, 2nd fret of the D, open G string, and then the 3rd fret of the top 2 strings. Second bar, we're going to have D sus2. Okay, so I've got the open D string, 2nd fret of the G, 3rd fret of the B, and then your sus2 comes from the open high E string. Right, because the E is a second interval away from D. So it's just a step up. Okay? And then I'm going to grab this shape, 3rd fret of the A, 3rd fret of the D, open G string, 1st fret of the top 2 strings. F sus2. So once again, no major third in this one, just the G note, which is a step up from F, which gives you that second interval away. All right, let's figure this out because we've got eighth notes. So we've got the downstrokes on the count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Upstrokes are on the ands, right? 1 and 2 and down, up is what we're going for in this. Now, if you look at the first bar, we just have one tied strum, okay? Which means that we're going to be skipping one of the strums as we go through, okay? So I've got down, up, down, up, down, up, right? So now, a little note, we've talked about this on the sessions quite a bit. Sometimes you get these strum patterns where you get all open strings as one of the strums, and it usually happens around the time of a chord change, okay? So, I've tabbed out the same strings as all open and then switching to another chord. You see that in, you've got two strums, a down up on the A sus2 chord, and then all of a sudden on the second beat, I'm not fretting anything on the down, but then on the up, I've gone to C add 9. Okay, I've gone to the C chord, the next chord. All that means is that you're sort of lifting off one chord on the strum next to the strum that we want to hit the chord change. Okay, it doesn't even really matter what strings you hit here. It's just telling you, yeah, you've lifted off the fretboard and now you're going to the next chord on the next strum. That's all that is. So I tabbed it that way just so that you don't get hung up on like, oh, I got to hit this set of open strings for just one strum and then go to another chord. It doesn't even matter what strings you hit. It's just the fact that you've lifted off the chord, you strum, and then boom, you're on the next chord. In this case, it's a down going into an up, okay? Okay? Gonna let that ring out on the upstroke and then up, down, and then once again, I'm going to another chord. So I'm lifting off of it, and top of the second bar, I'm going to the D sus2, okay? Same thing, okay? Two strums, downstroke on the open strings, boom. Upstroke, I'm on the next chord, which is the F sus2. So if you take this slow, you'll start to get in sort of into the flow of it, right? Like. Now, for a challenge, okay, this is the way I've tabbed it, and this is the way that we should, try to play it, right? But for a challenge, let's practice it slow and see if we can hold on to the chord and hold on to the chords for all the strums. So what I mean is you're not going to lift off for an eighth note and then go to the next chord, okay? You're going to try and make the chord change super quick so that you don't interrupt your strumming pattern and that we don't have a strum of open strings. So that, like, I might start really slow with this just to see if I can do it, right? Okay. That's what we should be trying to aim for, is actually that, okay? Now, there's plenty of hit songs, plenty of rock, particularly rock songs, and we've talked about this before, where that's just a stylistic thing with the guitar player. And it's totally cool. It's a vibe, right? But we want to try and, get as good at fast chord changes as we can. So this is a great opportunity to just look at this as a challenge and say, okay, I want to try and not lift off for a strum and then hit the next chord. I want to try and just go straight to the next chord, okay? So in order to practice that, you got to go slow with it. Go slow with it and make sure that you're hitting everything clean. Work with a metronome if you have to, and just keep speeding it up. And let's see how fast I can do it before it starts breaking down, right? Sort of right at the threshold. I'm not sure I'm 100% getting that clean. at that tempo, right? But I can do a little bit slower than that. Not quite. All right. So that's your challenge. Okay. So I didn't really put it in the tab there, but you know, it's basically showing you got a couple options on how to kind of take on a chord progression like this. None is more right, or you know, there's no right or wrong. It's just sort of what you're going for. Okay. Excellent. Cool. Derek, thank you so much. We think we like the live instruction for the mid-advanced player. I'm a Guitar Tricks paid member. Is the instruction available in the app so I can pause, rewind, etc.? No, so these live lessons are just on YouTube. Okay. However, on the Guitar Tricks channel here on YouTube, okay, all of the streams, all of the live lessons are archived on the channel. So you can go and watch the videos after the fact and pause, rewind. And in fact, actually, I think YouTube actually allows you to pause and rewind while you're watching it. I think you can actually pause this and go away for a bit and then, you know, kind of come back to it live, or just kind of rewind a little bit. So experiment with that live. I'm not sure 100% while we're broadcasting how well that works, but certainly you can watch this over again tomorrow, later tonight, whatever. It'll be on the channel. Okay. On YouTube, on the channel. Okay. Great. Derek, as I'm not a mid-advanced player, well, you know, hopefully I try to do some beginner type stuff a little bit too. So even if it's just taking one element of the entire musical example, whether it just be a strum tip, or whether it just be, you know, a chord shape or a chord change, two chords that you want to change between. Okay. Take something from it and try to sort of get something out of it at your level. Okay. Hopefully. All right. There we go. Jake's been watching me at half speed. I don't know if that's recommended or not. It's not like we're shredding on this one, right? Cool. Okay. So now exercise 2B. Let's talk about 16th notes. Okay. So now I'm going to change the strumming pattern, but now we're going to have, for every beat, you've got down, up, down, up. You've got 4 subdivisions for every beat in the bar. Okay. So I've changed the strumming pattern, more strums per bar, and it gives it a totally different feel. Same chords though, right? So let's see. So we're going for a little bit more of an Oasis kind of Wonderwall sort of, you know, not the exact strum pattern, but something like that. Okay. In this case, the rhythm is a little more complicated. We got to be looking at that top staff a little bit more to see what's going on. So you see that we've got our A sus2 chord, we've got a downstroke, and that's a quarter note. Okay, so we're actually just doing one strum for one E and for 4 subdivisions that we're thinking in 16th notes. We just have one strum on that first beat. And then we almost have one strum on that second beat, except we have an upstroke right at the end of that second beat. Okay, 2 E and leading into the chord change. 16th notes, down, up, down, but letting that ring out a bit, and then another down, down, up. Okay, so one of your clues right here is look at the notes, how they're tied with the flags on top. Okay, and you're going to see some of those notes have just one stem, and some of them have 2 stems. So the one stem is telling you that it's held up for an 8th note, and if there's a dot there, which there is on the second beat, there's a dot after every note, that's telling you to add an extra half beat onto it. So it's actually an 8th note with an extra 16th note in length. Okay. And then we've got 16th notes in there. All right. But you can actually see the way they're tied together, that you have each sort of cluster is on one of the beats. Okay. So the second beat, you've got 2 strums, a down and then an up right at the end. On the third beat, you've got a down, up, down. On the fourth beat, you've got a down, down, up. Okay. And just try to think of it that way. Just try to think of, where am I putting those strums in the realm of 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and, okay? And you may have to go really slow for that. So. Okay. That's what we're going for on that one. And again, it's the same challenge, okay? Let's see if we can hold on to the chords and not lift off on the upstroke right before the next chord change. And let's see if we can just hold the chord. So. Okay, another tip, and I know that, I've said this lots, but try and keep this going. Even though you're not strumming all of these, try to keep your arm going in that general motion. And that's what helps you keep time, right? Okay. Try to keep that going. Try not to just go kind of that kind of thing, where you're sort of tensing up a little bit and you're just stopping your motion. Try to keep that flow going so that you're feeling it with your whole body. 1E and 2E and 3E and, right? Makes sense. Okay. Excellent. Love it. Foot tapping helps as well. Robin, great one. Love it. James, what's going on? Welcome, welcome. All right. Exercise 3. Ventura Highway. So this is one on Guitar Tricks. I thought this was cool because it adds a little bit of muted strums a little bit. Okay. This is an 8th note strum pattern. So we've got some tied strums, but what we also have are some mutes on the 2nd and 4th beat of each bar. So what I've got is 3rd fret of the low string, 2nd fret of the A string. Everything else is open. So this is actually a G6 chord. The 6 being the added E note, okay? That's what we're going for. So let's have a look at it a little more in depth, okay? So I'm starting with the downstroke on that G6 chord. On the next downstroke, I'm actually going to strum the strings, but I'm going to strum it with the karate chop, holding the strings down so that you get that muted percussive sound, okay? And then on the upstroke, I'm going to open up to the chord again. So that's the first thing we practice, because we've introduced a new element here, like a muted strum, where we're going to have to strum the strings, but also clamp, put that karate chopper down on the strings. Okay, so just kind of that kind of idea, right? So if we look at it, just practicing that over and over and over again is going to get you into this sort of approach and technique. Okay, and then the end of the bar, we're going to come back up. So it's an up, mute, up, and the mute's on the down, like that. So you put that together. Next step is to add the next chord into it, which is a D major 7, open position. Nice floaty chord, barring down on the second fret of the top 3 strings, and including the open A, open D. Okay, nice little floaty chord right there. And so the tricky part is that you actually have to switch to that chord after the mute on the 4th beat, and you're going to hit it on an upstroke. So it starts like this. Mute, change. Same strums. Same thing going back to the G6 chord. All right, so Terry's asking, he's not getting the muting part. What is that? Is that just an open chord? You can hold on to the chord down here, either of those chords, okay? But what I'm doing is I'm strumming the downstroke onto the strings, but the strings aren't ringing out because I've got the side of my hand is going against the strings right here. So that's called a muted strum. Okay, so the palm has to come down onto the strings just for that strum. So you can try this. Let me just see if I can. So you see, I'm open, I'm floating with these strums, and then with that downstroke, I'm going to come down with my, just a little bit of a wrist move there so that. Okay. And at the same time, I'm actually striking the strings with the pick, but because this part, okay, is coming down onto the strings, nothing rings out. So it's a percussive groove kind of thing, right? Making more sense? So where it's actually hitting is it right here in this area. So it's really the side of the hand, okay? And at the same time, that's sort of strumming the strings at the same time, okay? So it's almost it's almost like a wrist move. You're kind of just twisting it in so that, okay? Is that making sense? Is that helping a little bit? All right. Yes. What's up, Larry? Glad you made it. Excellent. So you just got to go slow and don't even worry about the chords. Okay. Just honestly, just like start with the, just that groove where you're going on and off between. Okay. What about muted strum with the pinky of the fretted hand? So you could like I could, you could use any finger with the fretting hand to kind of come off the chord and just hold the strings. You can kind of do that, but I think that's a little more cumbersome than just, building it into the motion of the strumming arm. I think is a lot more natural, and I actually think it kind of sounds a little bit better. Like it's sort of, like any of those guys that do that sort of muted strumming thing, it's usually all with this hand, okay? And you might hold the chords, lift off the chords and hold the strings over here, right? But I think to just do that, you can do it, but I don't think it's quite has the chop sound that we're kind of looking for, okay? I'm stuck 1 down, 2 up, Bill. So let's see. Up, 1 down and 2 up, right. So what happens is down, up, down, up, mute, up, mute, up, mute, up, mute, up. That's what you should be practicing. That's basically the strum in the middle of that bar is up, sorry, mute, mute. Can't say it and do it at the same time. Up, mute, 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 okay? All right, let's see. We have trouble with the high strings muting. That's okay. I don't even think I'm really sort of strumming. Like I'm not really being super picky about what strings I'm grabbing with it as long as I get the sound. Like I might just be getting sort of the middle strings here. Okay. And if the B and E strings are kind of ringing while you do that, it means you got to try and cover all 6 strings with your hand. Okay. If you can kind of cover everything like that. Okay. Does that make sense? Terry got it. Excellent. And we got some good tips here. Mark's saying easier to play further away from the bridge. Okay. So some good tips to try. Somewhere over here. Maybe that. Yeah, it is a little tougher if you kind of need to be over here. So try to go really slow with it. And, stick with it, give it a little bit of practice every day. You should start to feel it kind of build in a little bit more, start flowing a little bit easier and build off that. Okay. Alonzo, it's hard for me to keep control of the pick. It feels like it wants to slip from your hand. Yeah, totally get that. Whatever you can do is just try to maybe grip that pick a little bit tighter while still trying to keep your hand and arm relaxed. Okay. That's right, HH. Sounds familiar, right? Okay. I would just try, if it's starting to slip, it means, you just got to try and hold on to it a little tighter, but still try and be as relaxed as you can. Now, it's a tall order tonight on this kind of stuff, but hopefully an introduction to it, hopefully something that you can kind of work on a little bit. All right. Yeah. Just practice. Just every little thing needs to have your attention. And sometimes it's hard to focus on 3 things at the same time. So then just take a few minutes to focus on one thing at a time, right? If it's just the mute, work on the mute. Just do that. Okay. If it's just the pick, hold on to the pick and see if you can do that. Right. And just do that for a few minutes, 2-3 minutes at a time, switch it over to something else. Okay. Then focus your attention somewhere else and just keep coming back at it. All right. All right. Nikki the dog is here. Excellent. Great. Thanks for showing up. John, what's up? Yeah, we are on exercise 3. If you joined us late, expand the description below the video. There's a link to tabs that we're going through. It's on a PDF. So that's where we're at. We're on exercise 3A, about to move to 3B. Okay. 3B is the exact same strums. Okay. What's up, Jason? Welcome, welcome. Except I moved the chords instead of open chords on the G6 and D major 7. I moved them to bar chords. Okay. So you can fret these now, 3rd fret of the low string, curl your finger to mute the A string, and then get 5, 4, 5 of the D, G, and B. And also curl your fingers around to mute the high string. Now this becomes a movable chord, so you can use this for any 6 chord, right? We've got the root down on the 3rd fret of the low string. That means we've got a G6. You can move it around to any key, right? And then the D major 7, we're moving up 2 frets. What's cool is that the D, G, and B shape is exactly the same up 2 frets. And all we're doing is moving the root note from the low string to the 5th fret of the A string, and then barring down so that you can also add the 5th fret of the high string too. There's a D major 7, 5th position, and that's a movable chord, right? So now I've got bar chords to play this thing, same strums. All right, you with me? Hopefully I didn't lose a bunch of you with the muted strums. Okay, we'll definitely keep chipping away at that. I think you know, every Friday I'll have something in here that we work on some mutes and you know, try and master the technique as best we can. And show you some cool chords too, right? D major 7, gotta love it. Okay, exercise 4. By the way, expand the description below the video if you just joined us. There's a link to the tabs for this lesson. Highly recommend you follow along with that. Going to switch it up now to a waltz feel, swung waltz, actually, in a 3/4 time signature. It's funny. Actually, this week I was in California filming some more songs for Guitar Tricks, and this came from a Stone song, actually, an old, lesser-known Stone song from the early days, but it actually has a waltz feel. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And so we can apply a strumming pattern to that. And so what I've got is an open G chord, 3rd fret of the low string, 2nd fret of the A, 3rd fret of the high string, open D, G, and B strings in between, okay? And on the first beat of that 3/4, I'm just going to hit the root note. And then I'm going to fall into down up on the next beat and down up on the next beat. Okay, so those are 8th notes. Okay. If I put a bunch of that together, it's going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, that's what we're going for. Now, there's a little bit of a twist in that right above where it says number 4 waltz, you have that little marking there to show you that it's a triplet feel. Okay, so we're actually going to swing this. This is going to be a swung 8ths groove. So instead of just straight down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, we're going to push that upstroke closer to the next downstroke. So instead of, it's going to be more like, okay. So let me put that together with the root note. This is the first bar looped. A little bit of that old country feel a little bit. Second bar is a D7, open D7, open D string, 2nd fret of the G, 1st fret of the B, 2nd fret of the high string. So now we're going to be making some quick changes and alternating between those chords using that same strumming approach. All right, notice there. So those first 2 bars are played a total of 3 times, okay? G to D7. Do that 3 times. You see the marking for that over the repeat sign after the second bar. It says 3 times, okay? So we're going to play that whole thing 3 times, right? Then we go back to G chord, and then the bar after that is the G7, which is a great indication if you go from the major to the dominant 7th chord that you're going to move to a new chord, right? And so, in fact, that sounds really good going to a C chord, which is the 4 chord in the key of G. And so you've got that sort of upper voice leading downwards. You've got a G up here. You're going to G7. Now it comes down to an F note up top. And then on the C chord, you've got the E note as the major 3rd. So a little bit of voice leading, descending voice leading. All right, so coming from the G to the G7. Okay, so 2 bars on C. Then it's G for 1 bar. E minor for 1 bar. and then a bar of C. And the last bar is D7 again. And then you can just wrap this whole thing around and play through it, okay? I think I'd marked that wrong again. Bar 26, or the third bar in the third line of this example, should be D7, okay? So if you put the whole thing together and add a little bit of tempo to it, it's going to sound like this. Something like that. All right? So what's this exercise good for? It's 3/4, okay? 3/5, a 3/4 time signature. Bill, you are absolutely correct. Sounds like a cowboy song, right? Pretty fun. It's that, you know, root strums. Interesting, but that's no Van Halen. It certainly is not. Yeah, so I guess I got to teach Spanish Fly on the acoustic, you know. Got to teach that on the acoustic, right? But 3/4, waltz feel, and swung, okay? So there's a lot of stuff in there to kind of practice. Go slow with it if you're kind of new to it. If you're not picking it up right away, just take a bar at a time. All right? Excellent. You know what? I should actually, I did at one point learn the intro to Little Guitars, which is a really cool kind of flamenco, kind of, sort of a Van Halen version of flamenco, which was pretty cool. What do you do? That kind of thing? Let's see. Anyway, we don't need to waste any more time on that. I'll work on that and I'll bring it next guitar workout. We'll do some stuff on that one. Yeah, Steve Stevens is great flamenco player. Great player. Absolute. Well, great player all around, obviously. Great rock player, but he can do the flamenco thing like crazy. Really cool. Exercise 5, blues turnaround. Okay. Speaking of the Stones, what I liked about this was that we've still got that. This is a bluesy kind of thing, but arpeggiations and a little bit of licks here on this that are really cool. So it starts off with on a D chord with some arpeggiations. Okay. Open D chord starting on the D string and just going up and down. Okay. And then I'm going to go to the F sharp note, second fret of the low string, and sort of change up the strings I'm doing. Low string, D string, G string, B string, G string, D string. So that first bar. Then we go to E minor. One more time. Cool. So the song's called Love in Vain. If you're a Stones fan, and they actually play this with the capo up on the 3rd fret. Didn't bother with the capo on this, so it's in a different key than the recording. But this is sort of the idea in the turnaround of the blues, which actually adds the minor 6 into it, which is kind of cool. You don't hear that very often. So let me see if I can play this whole thing through you know, start to finish here. This is exercise 5. All right. I think there's some cool stuff here. So on the E chord, that's great, great stuff. E minor is the chord, but kind of just outlining notes from E minor. Sliding up from 2 to 5, grabbing the 3rd fret of the high string, 2 to 5 on the G string. And then those quick slides, 4 to 2. Open string, 2nd fret, going into the C chord. Okay, so check it out. You're holding the C chord, but you're going to be moving the middle finger here, but still holding on to the outside notes of the C chord. Right? Lift off that middle finger and strum the D and G strings open, and hammer on that middle finger onto the 2nd fret of the G. And then you see the other one up top, G string and the 1st fret of the B string. Okay, so 2 parts to that. And then back to the G chord. Okay, just the upper part, like the previous example, right? G major, G7. I thought it was pretty cool. All right, exercise 6. Some arpeggiations. So speaking of arpeggiations, let's go back to just some straight time, right? And just taking a descending chord progression starting from C. I'm going to play this and we'll break it down a little bit. Let's see. One more time. Okay. So we've got a C chord going down to the G over B, but you're kind of just still holding on to the C note, 1st fret, right? You're coming down to the 2nd fret of the A, but you still got the 1st fret of the B string, right? A minor 7. And then that F sus2 again that we've seen previously, right? 3rd fret of the D, open G, 1st fret of the B. So the first 3 bars have exactly the same picking pattern, right? And what's cool about this is it's not straight up and down like the last one, right? You could do that, but we're kind of coming back from the G string back to the D, back to the G, and then up and then back down. So you're adding a little bit of motion back and forth onto it, which is a really cool approach. And the picking pattern as far as downs and ups, there's so many different ways that you can do this. Once again, I kind of left off the suggested markings on it because I don't even think I'm doing it consistently. I'm just kind of doing it, So try to figure out whatever it is you figure out in order to make this happen, try to do it consistently. Mostly going down and up, and then sort of reversing when I'm about to go back a string, and then reversing when I'm about to go back up is sort of the general idea on the picking. But there's no right or wrong way to do it, just as long as you can get it sounding good. In that 4th bar, it's a little bit different because we're starting on the D string, and then we're gonna and then come back from the B string to the G string, back up, and then back down, and then back up to end it. So it's a little bit different in that 4th bar. I think there's some cool stuff in there if you want to go slow with it. Once again, if it kind of is not coming automatically, just take 1 chord and just work on that picking pattern. Take it nice and slow, okay? Once you feel comfortable, start adding in the chord changes. Sound cool? All right. Steve, I'll go to a heavy jazz pick on the electric at times, then it slides around and make some cross cuts with the box cutter. So yes, I've seen this, that a lot of guitar players do that. They actually sort of make slices in the pick to get some grooves to hold on to. And in fact, I actually started using these Dunlop Prime Grip. I don't know if you can see this, but there are ridges on it. And I find it really helps. It kind of just locks into your finger a little bit. Now, what I find though with these is that they kind of wear down really quickly, so they start to slip. You know, but if it's a brand new pick, it stays in there for really well for a while. But then it starts to just kind of roll off a little bit. I guess from the oils from your fingers or something. Kind of, it's not quite as sticky after a while. But I started using these and I found them helpful. So there's that too. You can kind of make cuts. There's lots of little tips and tricks, right? That's cool, Steve. I like that. What thickness of pick am I using, by the way? Yeah, this is a 71. So I tend to use a little bit of a thinner pick on the acoustic. Yeah, the electric picks I use are thicker. They're 96, so almost 1 millimeter, I guess, whatever it is, 96. 96 on the electric, 71 on the acoustic is kind of where I'm at right now. But sometimes, you know, you want an even lighter pick. It kind of always depends musically what you're doing, right? That's just the general thing for me is a thinner pick on the acoustic, thicker on the electric, right? There we go. Dava picks have rubber on them. Yeah, there's all sorts of cool picks there that you can get to try out. It's fun stuff to try. All right, so exercise 7. Here's going to play off a G chord, but you know, suggest to use your pinky and ring finger on the 3rd fret of this one so that you have your index and middle finger to move around. So let's see if I can play the first 2 bars of exercise 7 here. Let's see. Now, when I go to the ring finger, what I notice is that I can't get enough clearance to really get that open A string hammering on to the 2nd fret cleanly. I guess it's sort of there. Let's see, I don't think I'm getting that. It goes. That's the 2nd bar. Okay, so what I'm doing in that 2nd bar is adding 2nd fret of the D, 1st fret of the B onto the G chord. Okay? AC/DC on the acoustic has to be paper thin. There you go. I like that, Steve. So we're just doing a down, up, down, and then on the up, I'm releasing that. You know, adding a full C triad onto sort of that G cell, which is kind of fun. So I was thinking another alternate way that I could do it to really get that B note to pop halfway through that 1st bar is to just let go of that G note altogether. Then you have to quickly go back. So a couple different ways to do that, but just showing you that if you sort of play the G chord with your pinky, with these fingers instead of the first 3 fingers, it gives you some options down by the nut to kind of embellish a little bit, right? Other part of this exercise, adding just a little bit of a chord progression with some embellishment into it. 1, 2. So some cool stuff there. Open E minor, and then a slide 2 to 4 on the D, going to the open G string, and then sort of a similar thing on the C chord. Hammering on to this from the open D string to the 2nd fret, and then going back to the open. Okay, let's see if I can play through this whole thing. Shanked it at the end, but close enough for rock and roll, right? I want to get to the last exercise here. Yeah, a little bit like pink houses, right? Yeah, for those of you who don't know pink houses, you slide from the first to the second fret of the A string and grab that open G string and then fall into the strum on the G chord. And you could do that. Love that song. All right, ending off the Halloween edition real quick, exercise 8, just a couple more, just more in the title, a little more Halloween appropriate. A descending chord progression. This is a Grateful Dead song. It is on Guitar Tricks, Friend of the Devil. Let's see. Okay, so obviously playing top 3 notes of an open G chord and just descending down from G major, right? So sliding into the G note, 5th fret of the D string. Couple of down up strum on the top 3. Just coming down. And then when we get to the C chord in the second bar, I'm going to play the top part of the chord and just come down from the C root. So you're holding the chords up top, moving the root notes down below. Cool approach there, right? And then ending off with Spooky. All right, Spooky just recently went up on Guitar Tricks, even though we had filmed it like 5 or 6 years ago or something crazy. I thought I'd just throw it in here because it doesn't necessarily sound spooky, but love the title, right? Halloween appropriate. E minor 7, 7th position. Okay, so I'm barring down from the A string all the way up, 7th fret, adding the 9th fret of the D, 8th fret of the B. Okay, starting with just, okay. Yes, Terry, we do. That's the version we have on Guitar Tricks, is the ARS version. So hitting the root note, second beat is a downstroke and then cutting it off. And then 2 more 8th note strums after that. And then going down to an A13. So I got the 5th fret of the low string, 5, 6, and 7 on the D, G, and B. 2 strums, a rest, and then another strum letting it ring out rest of the bars. All right. Ending it off with Spooky. All right. Thanks so much for joining tonight. Yeah, it does sound like Carole King a little bit, right? I Feel the Earth Move. I can't remember what key the Carole King is. I Feel the Earth Move, right? Same sort of thing. Yeah, totally. What key is that in? I'll have to get that one. That's a piano one, but I'll adapt it. I'll put it in future stream. All right. All right. Well, I hope everybody has a great weekend, a great week ahead. We'll be back on the electric guitar next week. An electric guitar workout. All right. So we're getting some Van Halen, right? Excellent. All right. So thanks so much. Rusty, Jersey Red, my friend, thanks so much for being so active, as always, on the comments, and thanks for being here each and every week. Super appreciate it, my friend. Danny, thank you so much. Glenn B, thank you. Robin, yes, a crowd favorite indeed. Rad Flying V, thank you. Erica, thanks again. Mark B, thank you. Zane, excellent. Jake99, thank you. Larry, I appreciate that. Thanks so much. Thanks, Jeff Zane. Terry, thank you. Jim Gregory, thank you. Nikki the dog, as always. Theodore, thank you. Appreciate that, Robin. Thanks, Jason. Have a great Halloween back at you. Gerald, have a great weekend back at you. Thanks so much. HH, we'll miss you, but we'll see you on the other side. Have a great couple weeks away. Alonzo, thank you. Bill, thank you. MA, thank you. Barb, thanks. And Steve, thank you so much as always. Cheers, everybody. Take care. We'll see you next week. We're out. Over and